Hey everybody, what's up? This is Chad Warren. I want to welcome you to RebelRenaissanceRadio.com, and I want to focus on the topic of Tartaria because I heard about it, but I just heard it recently in this podcast, and I'm hearing it discussed in a different way than I'm familiar with, so I want to get your help to see what you know about this, or if you had a similar reaction to me. Okay, so this is the Meta Mindcast podcast with Robby Marx. This is his appearance on the Occult Rejects. That's with Nick and the spiritual Gangsters. I forget her name. I apologize. Is it Teresa? I'm not sure. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we're going to hear about the spirits of Tartaria. We're going to look that up after this because I never heard that. And then, okay, so this is part of a series. This is episode 57, which is part 2. There's like a 5-part series. This is from last year. And so the general understanding I have is that you have this King Solomon. He wants to build this, I believe, the second temple for the Jews in Jerusalem. And so, kind of like how they have to have corporations that came out of, okay, we need to build this bridge. We don't have just one company that we can pay to do it, so we need to have an arrangement to have all these different people. So that's where you get like the Freemasons, that actual stonemasons, and then the speculative masonry that came out of that. I think that they claim that they're connected to this story. And then you have this thing about demons being employed by King Solomon, and that has to do with Enochian magic, and this Old Testament idea that you could use demons for positive things. Similar to like saying you could do magic or trying to distinguish magic from prayer, etc. So let's take a listen.
And so he took this vampire spirit, Orenos, and he set him to the task of cutting stones for the temple. And then he took Orenos and basically told Orenos to bring forth the king of the demons. Right? Because he wanted to talk to the one that ruled over all the demons. So Orenos went to Tartaria or Sheol or Hell, whatever you want to call it, and basically went to Beelzebub, and Beelzebub was forced to appear before Solomon with the ring. And Beelzebub told Solomon that he was the only fallen angel left now on the earthly realm, who still survived and now ruled over all the spirits of Tartaria.
Okay, so spirits of Tartaria is what we're going to get to next, but what was it there I was hearing? Oh, I had never heard Tartaria referred to as hell. So what does that have to do with, okay, where I originally heard of the concept of Tartaria? God, it's been so long now. It would be Martin Liedtke, Flat Earth British. I'm trying to remember because he was the first one, and I don't remember if he used the phrase Tartaria to discuss another topic, which would be, he calls Antiquitech. You know, this idea, all of this is, I guess, just generally under the idea that in the ancient world, they had technologies that we would marvel at today, like building the pyramids and all of that. So in one sense, it's really nothing new. And then, of course, you have the thing about the way all this alt media just has all these people running around acting like they know what they're talking about. It's just a big cult on roller skates. You know, the flat earth was the big deal, then it was Tartaria, and then it's just all fell off the rails after that as far as new topics, you know, and then it's just all obsession with Trump. But anyway, so let's go on to what I found searching Brave's AI and what it had to say, I asked, who are the spirits of Tartaria? According to the provided text, the spirits of Tartaria are associated with the wind, which is thought to be composed of the spirits of the Nephilim giants, as mentioned in the first book of Enoch. I'm reading that. However, it's essential to note that this concept is rooted in conspiracy theories and pseudoscientific ideas, and its accuracy is not supported by mainstream scientific evidence or historical records. I can't help but be impressed. As much as I am concerned about AI, I mean, I think that's a pretty fair answer there. The text also mentions that the Tartarians are thought to have been breatharians, beings who receive energy directly from the ether. I heard about that for the first time here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, downtown, all my life, and it was there up until, I don't know, 5-10 years ago. It was called the Old Country Store. It was those old hippie, like super country Christian natural food store, and there was the skinniest, sickly looking white old man with gray hair, kind of like the preacher in Poltergeist 2 or whatever that was. Okay, so he's like, yeah, you can just eat the trees that fall. A fruitarian. He started that way, he said, of only eating the fruits that fell from the tree. Which didn't that end up giving Steve Jobs cancer, just eating fruit all the time? That's an interesting thing. I mean, that kind of makes sense, just too much sugar or something. But then, of course, they got these breatharians, which is just crazy. But we literally, all of this is just the public reacting to this information that hasn't been so publicly available. Dumber people think this is all horseshit. Smarter people know that there's just amazing stuff. Amazing. I saw a short today, and it was showing the first computer memory, and it was freaking only had 4,000 bytes, and it was it cost $1 a byte, and all it was these little rings. You have a grid where you have wires, and then the wires go through these rings, which creates this, what do you call that, a toroid field or something? And based on the direction of the current flowing through the wire and how many times you put it through those toroids, it creates these on or off states like you would have with digital media. I mean, that's crazy. And each one of those was handmade and whatever, but and then that's kind of interesting too, because you get the sense of in Russia, I remember that was a cool thing. In the 90s, they had this TV special, and it was after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and we were supposedly hearing from these former Soviet scientists talking about all this psychic UFO stuff, and how they have those Bosnian pyramids and all that. And then I mean, I think this Tartarian idea, a lot of people associate it with the Russians. So anyway, and it could go on to explain Tartaria, but basically, that's, as I understand it, it's like when you look at the capital of the United States government in Washington, D.C., the White House. That, well, wait a minute, sorry, that would be the Capitol. Is you got the Rotunda Dome, and isn't that where they have Congress? I get all that confused. It's not the White House, that's the White House. Anyway, but those type of buildings are all over the world, just in case you weren't familiar with this topic. So why do they have buildings that look Roman in, Asian countries, and they're all old? And the idea is that there already was this global culture that was highly developed, which is kind of confusing because there is a lot of evidence about that. You don't have to go into super far out, territory with no evidence and just speculation to be talking about the Kensington runestones, the Vikings being here long before Christopher Columbus, etc. Okay, so Yeah. And then I thought I would also just play a little bit of Martin Liedtke, since that's where I first heard about it.
Prize, as well, is also gold-plated with green gold, which is electrum. Now, electrum is known to have really amazing conductive properties. So this is the reason why it was on the pyramids, and this is the reason it was on the obelisks, because of that old world technology. Wow. Excuse me. Electrum. Now, the Arab broom, and in some of the places you see in the Arabian world where they're using fractal geometry, technasmia, nesting technology, exactly like this realm we're living in. I think it's nested just like Katusha dolls, just like Russian dolls, realm within realm within realm within realm. And I think that if you get your vibration right, I think you can travel. I've used this mind trick for years where I travel to another realm and pick up writing skills when I wanted to be an author, painting skills when I want to be an artist. Just visit the other me's in my mind and pick up these things. I don't know whether it lessens their talents, but I don't know. But I never stopped to.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is fascinating because on the one hand it sounds completely ridiculous. You can't travel to no other dimensions and places and this, that, and the other. But I mean, that's what we do every time we watch a movie, and we all have an infinity within us, between us and heaven and hell, and just what we draw out of ourselves, what is possible that we don't think is possible till we find out that it is, through a lot of hard work. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. If you have any information that does connect these two concepts of the way Tartaria is discussed by people like Martin Liedtke, they're focusing on architecture like this that we can observe. Oh, and then of course there's the thing about, somebody mentioned, that was Nick on Occult Rejects. I've had this thought before myself, is why I'm saying it here, is that he was saying when he, where was he? Was he at Yale? A graveyard? And there was all of these architects, and like, he's like, do they mean that they really were like building physical structures, or do they mean that in some kind of occult way? Because a lot of that stuff that is magic is psychology, which doesn't mean to say it's not one or the other, but I mean, even if you focus on psychology, well, that's what rules the world. We put ourselves into these nesting dolls. I live within hot springs, within Arkansas, within the U.S., within the earth, etc. Thank you.